بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. It is Thursday, the 3rd of February 2022, and in our series Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 298. And these days we are discussing the meaning of the words of chapter 2, verse 98 of the Holy Quran. And this is the third broadcast in that series. Just to remind you that these broadcasts are brought to you by the Lahore Ahmadiyya community, which was created by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib. He taught us that although people believe that a prophet will come after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, the Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet is Khatamun Nabiyyin. And the Holy Prophet explained, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, explained that by saying, La Nabi Abadi. So now no prophet can come, old one or new one. And when there is a need, reformers or mujaddids will be appointed by Allah to guide this ummah to the right path. And the Holy Prophet said this. Now, this will of course lead to disagreements, but the Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad pointed out that although people are keen to start shouting kafir, kafir, heretic, heretic, but the Holy Prophet Muhammad had said that if one reciter of the kalima says to another, you are not a Muslim, then this charge reverts back to the person who says that. Again, people say that some prophetic revelation is missing from the Holy Quran, like Ayah Rajam and Surah Walayat and so on. But God says in the Holy Quran that I have revealed it and I will guard it. So how can anything be missing from it? And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught that although people say that parts of the Holy Quran are abrogated or cancelled, this is not true. We do not believe that any part of the Holy Quran was, is, or ever shall be abrogated. And jihad is a duty of every Muslim. But jihad is defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said, on returning from fighting, that Muslims are returning from the minor jihad to the major jihad, and explained that the major jihad is to fight with your own inner desires, greed and lust and whatever have you. That is the jihad a Muslim needs to conduct 24 hours a day. So let us now turn to verse 98. This time I'll make very sure that I'm reciting the correct verse, because in the Urdu broadcast I started off by reciting the previous verse. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم من كان عدوا لله وملائكته ورسله وجبريل وميكال فإن الله عدو للكافرين. Whoever is an enemy to Allah and his angels and his messengers and Gabriel and Michael, then surely Allah is an enemy to such disbelievers. I had intended to cover the word وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ, which is the topic for today, but I think it will probably take 3 broadcasts just to explain the significance of this word. I wish I could impress upon people the depth of meanings of the words of the Holy Quran, that it can take 3 broadcasts, some 3 hours to explain. I was going to say full, but I don't think even then it will be the full significance and meaning of this word. But anyway, let's turn to our computer dictionary and see what we have. This word has the triliteral root, meme, lam, kaf, and there are actually 3 segments. Wa is one segment, and then he at the end, that's a pronoun. So the main word, malaikati, is in the middle, and its triliteral root, as I said, meme, lam, kaf, and it occurs in the Holy Quran 206 times, which means and 10 different words based on this root are found in the Holy Quran, or as a grammarian would say, 10 different derived formats. 88 times as malak, and 48 times as mulk, and 44 times as malakat, and 15 times as malik. So this is meaning having power over, possessing something, and it's also a proper noun, as used in chapter 43, verse 77. Vanado ya maliku, O Malik, means kingdom or kingship, sovereignty, dominion, authority, and of course it means king, and so on. It means angels. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Said to the angels. That's it. Okay, let's see what are the noun. It is kingdom, master, etc. So, as I said, meme, lam, kaf is the triliteral root. And as I was saying earlier on, it means to have power over something, to possess something. It also stands for authority, government, stands for the support on which someone depends. And that is why in some places water and food, this word is used for that. For example, Arabia is a desert, and if you find a little valley where you have water and grass and all this kind of thing, then fil wadiyul malak or malikan. Why? Because all the living things, what they depend on, the resources they need to survive are there. There is water, there's shade, there's grass, etc., etc. This word is used for water as well in the desert, because life depends on that water. And there is a saying that in all matters, the one with the water is fine. Anything, any source or resource which causes something that had gone awry, that had gone wrong, to be corrected, you use the same word, milak al-amr. When I say same word, I'm talking about the words derived from the root. It's maybe different words, but they derived from the same root. And so for honor, dignity, power, government, although the word is used for all of them, it also applies to Allah, because his government is over the whole universe. And everything depends on him for its survival and development and so on. So that is why this word is used for God. And that ownership that God has, you see, that can be two reasons that you have authority over something. One is like, some dictator, Hitler or Stalin. You just want to make everyone afraid of you, make sure that they don't disagree with you, make sure that they just do what you've said, regardless of whether it's right or wrong or whatever it is. But another way that you can have something and have control over something is to create a balance so that it operates properly and that you guide it. You guide it so that it operates correctly. So one aspect of Malaik is all those things which make sure that this universe is operating properly. See, if you go back and look at the translation, whoever is an enemy to Allah and his angels, that's the first thing that is mentioned, angels, not anything else. Why? Because angels are the beings, the sources, the forces that keep this universe in balance. You know, it's a very delicate balance of forces. If the moon were to move slightly, it will create havoc on Earth. If the Earth was to move slightly, if any of the planets or moons or these astronomical bodies were to move, there'll be complete chaos. There'll be complete chaos. The whole system will be disrupted. Now, you see, God has created this delicate balance, and He has also created this delicate balance on this earth between living things. Human beings are a living thing, but so are other animals, so are plants. A mango tree is much a living thing as a cow or a camel or a human being even. But human beings forget this. They think that this world, that this planet was created just for them to exploit. But God says that you blame me when something goes wrong. But it's your own deeds that cause things to go wrong. Why don't you accept responsibility and say that, it's what you did, and accept? Because that is the first step towards putting things right. And these malaik, these forces, these angels, these laws, we've been disrupting them particularly for the last 200 years. And we can see the difference that it has made. We are having more and more frequent forest fires all over the world. There were forest fires in United States. There were forest fires in Australia. And they burned for weeks. And they were out of control. Why? Because the system, the forces, the malaik that kept the whole thing in balance have been disturbed. Human beings have turned out to be the enemies of those malaik. And God says at the end of the verse, well, I'm their enemy. And that is that I've given them guidance, but they've chosen to ignore it. So what do they want me to do about it now? And some years, last year I think it was, that there was a young boy who lived in an area. There's a road called the North Circular. It sort of goes round on the upper part of London, and it's very congested, and there's a huge amount of traffic. And this boy was ill. He had asthma, and he had a severe attack, and he died. Why did he die? Because the balance of air in that area had been disturbed. He could not get enough oxygen into his blood. Human beings had become enemies of the Malaik that were keeping that balance. And it's a very delicate balance. We were talking about life depending on water in the desert. But life depends on water everywhere. In the desert, you might die because you don't have water. There are other places where you might die because the water you use to wash or drink or whatever is so polluted. And every time the same excuse is trotted out, we don't have the money. Well, I suppose you can save money on purifying water, and then when you die, because you've been drinking polluted water, you can use those savings to build yourself a mass great structure over your grave, with words like "Hail lies the idiot." But these words might seem harsh to you, but this is the reality of the situation. Because of global warming, because we've increased the percentage of carbon dioxide in the air, the ice packs in the North Pole and South Pole are melting very fast. The glaciers in Himalayas are melting very fast. And they reckon if this continues, then perhaps in 5 years' time, there'll be little water in Pakistan. That's the speed at which these glaciers are melting. These glaciers had been there for tens of thousands of years, or millions of years. And human beings, through their arrogance, through their enmity to Malaika, have managed to destroy them in about 150, 125 years. But who's going to suffer? Human beings. As I said, North Pole and South Pole, the ice there is melting. That's raising sea levels. So what's going to happen to all the coastline communities? The seawater will rise, and those communities, those cities, those towns, those villages will drown. People living there may not die. I mean, they may move elsewhere. But the point is this: the area over which humans can live will be reduced. And we need land, not just for housing. We need it for farming. What are we going to eat? We need it for factories to work in. We need it for schools and hospitals and colleges and God knows what else. If that land mass is reduced, then we'll have mass congestion. Many countries will disappear. Mauritius will disappear. Bangladesh will more or less disappear. So where are those people going to be placed? They'll probably just drown and die. Why? Because of our enmity for Malaika. The angels that were keeping the balance in the atmosphere. We hated them. We destroyed them. I mean, what did we do? We said, well, I want to get from A to B, and I've invented this car. I know it's emitting carbon dioxide, which is polluting the air, but it gets me from A to B in 15 minutes, whereas if I walked or, I don't know, used a horse or whatever, it would take me 2 hours. To save that 1 hour 45 minutes, I'm quite happy to contaminate clean air. So why should I then complain when there are dire consequences of what I do? And then I find that I can't breathe, or there isn't enough clean water to drink, and so on. The Holy Quran says, you blame, God says in Holy Quran, Allah says, you blame me. But this is a consequence of your own deeds. I didn't do this. You did. I gave you guidance. I gave you a balanced planet to live on. I gave you Malaika, the angels that controlled that balance. And this, in fact, goes back to the story of creation. God said, I created Adam. And Satan, Iblis, said, he's going to cause nothing but problems. And Allah said, well, my knowledge is greater than yours. So God knew we'll do this. This is why in the Holy Quran over and over again it warns us. This is why over and over again God sent prophets to guide us, because he knew what we were going to do. But we took no heed. We paid no heed. For small advantage here and there, we incurred the enmity of these Malaika. That is just one aspect of the use of this word that we've looked at today. There are many other aspects, and I want to spend some time considering those aspects because they are very important as well. And they also have been misunderstood because we think angels are, these beings made of light, and they have wings and they fly about and all this kind of thing, etc. Well, I don't know, maybe there are. But certainly I believe that everything that keeps this whole universe ticking over nicely in balance, in a very delicate balance, and the laws that do that, they are the Malaika, God appointed to do these things. But we've turned out to be the enemies of those angels, of those Malaika. This brings us to the end of our broadcast for today. And I hope that we'll meet again for these broadcasts on Tuesday. But certainly tomorrow we'll have the usual Friday service and other normal broadcasts. With a prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep everyone safe and sound and free from harm. I take my leave of you. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.